Good evening. I'd like to call to order the September 10th meeting of the Caneo Open Space Conservation Agency. Please join me in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have the roll call, please?
Here.
Director Bill de la Pena.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Jacobson. Here. Chairperson Skay.
Here.
Director Fox is absent.
Okay. I don't have any public comment cards at this point, but if members of the public wish to come in and wish to speak later, we can take that up later. Let's go to our committee reports and announcements, and the first one is Trail Work Day for October 18th, and Ginny Bowers from Cosca Committee will give us that report.
Ginny Bowers, Newbury Park, member of the Caneo Open Space Trails Advisory Committee. As a member of the COSTAC Committee, I'd like to invite all of the viewing public to join us for our 18th annual Trail Work Day to be held on October 18th at the Caneo Community Center in Thousand Oaks. And like I said, this is our 18th, well actually it's our 19th year, and the volunteers, as volunteers, you come out and help the rangers, and we work on a couple trails in the area for half a day. You get a free breakfast sack, and you work for a couple hours, and then you come back and get a free lunch. And then we have a bike giveaway as well as other locally donated gifts from our local dealers. This year, we're tentatively targeting 2 areas, and that's just tentative as as of now. One of them is in the North Ranch open space area at the end of Bowfield, and the other is in Newbury Park, the Potrero open space from the, if you're familiar with that area, the water tank off Wendy to Reno, and then when this trail goes through, it'll connect to the new Potrero Ridge Trailhead, which is on Reno Road, and then on to the Dos Vientos trails. And this new Potrero Ridge Trailhead is really very nice, and I've ridden it and hiked it also. The rain date is scheduled for October 25th, if we should have a problem with the 18th. And the event's sponsored by Canal Open Space Conservation Agency. And it's a lot of fun, and we'd like to see lots of people out there. Families are welcome. If children under 18 attend, we need to get a liability signed by your parent okaying to do this. And one more thing, the lunch is sponsored by Carlson Building Materials again this year, and the bike is being donated by Bill's Bike Shop in Camarillo. Any questions?
Great, thanks so much. Mr. Berg, you have a question?
Yes. Are we going to be building trails again this year, or are we going to be cleaning up?
I think they want to try to build, I'm not sure which area yet, maybe.
Okay, but the reason I brought that up is I helped build a trail last year, and I mean, it's just so exciting to me to go in there and not have a trail, and when we left that afternoon, there was a brand new trail. I mean, it was just,
well,
it was
actually,
quite an
there's
experience.
a connection to that trail from last year that I've been trying to see if they can work that into it, under Canaan Road there, in that area, but it connects to the one you were working on.
So anybody out there that has never done this type of trail work before, or just has never even thought about it, it was so exciting to see that completed. Yeah. It was, wow. I mean,
and another thing, if you want any more information, we do have our website, which is cosf.org, and that'll have all kinds of information for you as well.
Okay, thank you. And just to note that you gather at the group picnic area of Caneo Community Park, and that's the Botanic Garden entrance just off Gainsborough. Thank you very much, Jenny. Our next item is the minutes of the May 14th meeting.
Move adoption.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Berger, seconded by Director Claudia Bill de la Pena. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And I didn't hear any objection. Thank you. Let's go to our new items, and the first one is easy. That's our 2009 Board of Directors meeting schedule. Ms. Ford?
Thank you, Chair Skay, members of the board. I'd like to direct your attention to the monitor, where we have a brief PowerPoint detailing the 2009 proposed Board of Directors meeting schedule. As you know, the Board of Directors meetings are held on the second Wednesday of every other month at 6:30 in the boardroom here, unless otherwise notified. Given those rules, we have 6 proposed meeting dates for 2009, which are January 14th, March 11th, May 13th, July 8th, September 9th, and November 18th. And you will note that they are all the second Wednesdays of the month, except for November, which is the third Wednesday, because the second Wednesday is Veterans Day. And also because on November 18th, 2009, the boardroom has been reserved by another group, we will be holding the November 18th 09 meeting in the Sheriff Forum Theater, which is the City Council chambers.
Pleasure of the board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition. Thank you. Very good. And then let's go to our 2008-2009 Cosca budget. Ms. Ford.
Thank you, Chair Skay. Again, have another PowerPoint presentation about the 08-09 budget. Cosca's annual budget is a combination of portions of the city and the CRPD approved budgets. The current 2-year budgets from City and CRPD were originally approved in 2007. However, they were recently adjusted downward because of predicted revenue shortfalls. So the city's adjusted budget was approved on July 8th, 2008, and CRPD's adjusted budget was approved on July 17th, 2008. I'll just give a few details about how these budget adjustments affected Cosca's budget. CRPD's portion of Cosca's budget was not affected by the budget reductions. However, the city reduced its maintenance and operations portion of the Cosca budget by $14,500, which represents a 42% reduction down to $20,000 from the original budget of $34,500. The cuts in this maintenance and operations line item were primarily from the professional and contractual services. There was a $12,000 reduction in the professional and contractual services. And I should point out that similar cuts were made to department budgets citywide, so these budget cuts certainly do not just affect Cosca. So the proposed 2008-2009 Cosca operating budget is $1,341,320, which is 1% more than the 07-08 budget. As you know, the budget is shared 50-50 by the city and CRPD, so the estimated contribution from each agency will be $670,000. And the proposed 08-09 capital improvement project budget is $120,000, which is the same as last year. And I have some slides showing some details of the proposed capital improvement projects. Project 1 is improvements to the Los Flores Trail for $50,000, and this involves brushing, grading, and fencing to improve the trail surface and also to better delineate the trail on the Southern California Edison parcel between Avenida de Las Flores and Herbs Road, with an expected completion date of April 09. And this is the location map. The Edison easement is, I'll try to use the mouse here, this line that you see here, and the trail runs down the length of this easement. I have a photo showing what that area looks like. So you can see the trail surface is rocky and uneven, and there is currently not a fence delineating the trail. There was formerly a fence which was removed, and so a new fence will be installed, and the trail surface will be improved. These trees will also be pruned, the trees you can see here on the side. Project number 2 is improvements to the Walter Avenue Trail. This is in the Potrero Ridge open space system. This project will improve the grade and alignment of the trail section, which connects a new trail that was constructed by a developer at the terminus of Walter Avenue. And this new trail needs to be better integrated into the trail system, and so some work will be done to improve that connection with an expected completion date of February 09. The location map showing this project, you can see that Reno Road runs from north to south in the middle of this map. Walter Avenue is, the terminus of Walter Avenue is this turnaround area right here, and the new trail runs up from here and connects into the trail system. The next image is a map that shows it. Although these aerial photos are from 2007 and the trail was constructed after the photos were taken, so you can't see the new trail, but there are a series of switchbacks in this area, and then this is the existing trail system here. So within this yellow circle is the area of trail that needs some work. Project number 3 is improvements to the Mountain Creek Drive Trail, which is also in the Potrero Ridge open space area on the other side of Reno Road from the project I just described. This will be grade and alignment improvements to the trail with an expected completion date of February 09. This project, as I mentioned, is on the opposite side of Reno Road, which is this road here. And this aerial photo shows this set of switchbacks coming off of Mountain Creek Drive. And this is the area within the yellow circle that needs work the top of the switchbacks connects very steeply to the top of the ridgeline, and this connection will be improved. The fourth project is the installation of off-road vehicle barriers for $15,000. Several barriers will be installed. These barriers may be made of boulders, fences, and gates, with an expected completion date of June 09. This is a map showing the location of where we expect several of these vehicle barriers to be installed. This is in the North Ranch open space, which is currently one of our biggest problem areas for off-road vehicle use. And so with these 3 stars, installation of off-road vehicle barriers at these 3 starred locations, we think will help to seal off the area and stop most, or hopefully all, of the off-road vehicles from getting into the area. I have photos of each of the starred locations. This photo shows the area behind some condominiums at the end of Via Colinas in the North Ranch open space looking north. And as you can see, if this car wanted to, it could just drive right over the grass and go right into the trail system. And we know that currently people are accessing it that way. So the goal would be to put a gate up here. Actually, our property boundary is on the other side of this knoll. We would install a gate on the other side of the hill. Here is another point of access to the North Ranch open space. This is along Thousand Oaks Boulevard, between Via Colinas and Lindero Canyon Road. As you can see from the Ranger truck parked here, this truck could easily drive right up this hill and continue into the open space. Again, our property boundary is over the other side of this hill, and we would install a barrier at that point. The final location in Northridge open space is at the edge of a City of Westlake Village park at the terminus of Hedgewall Drive. Again, here vehicles can drive across this paved area and right up into the open space. The final capital improvement project is the Lake Eleanor Tule removal for $35,000, which will fund tule and cattail removal from behind the dam at Lake Eleanor. This project is a bit more ambitious than recent tule removal projects, which have just cut the tules and cattails at the water surface. This time, we are going to cut the tules from the bottom. From their roots. So hopefully, they will stay out of the lake for a longer period before we need to repeat this maintenance. This map shows the location. This is Lake Eleanor here within the Lake Eleanor open space. And a photo showing how overgrown it is. This concrete surface here is the face of the dam, and where all these tules are is actually the water surface, which has become completely invisible. This little piece of cement back here is Westlake Boulevard. You can see this is very close to Westlake Boulevard. So staff's recommendation is that the Cosca board approve the proposed 2008-2009 Cosca budget. I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions of staff? Director Bill Villapena.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the presentation, by the way.
Sure.
I just have a few questions, and I just wanted to clarify that there is a reduction in the allocation by the City of Thousand Oaks to the Cosca budget, but that is made up by an increase in CRPD's contribution to the budget?
The budget cuts were offset by standard increases, the cost of living increases in salaries and other contractual items. I don't believe that there were any significant increases to CRPD's budget, although perhaps Jim Friedel may want to comment on that.
Yeah, I see a difference of approximately $20,000 compared to last cycle. Is that correct?
I believe it's mainly from the salary item, which would represent standard annual salary increases primarily. Is that, let me take a look.
Yeah, that's exactly it on page 10.
That's accurate, and for us, it's still an estimate, given that we haven't had our final MOU adopted with the employees, but there's an assumption built in to that budget number.
Okay, so because the city is reducing its share, so to speak, that is being made up by CRPD's allocation?
No, that's
No.
not. The overall Cosca budget has been reduced from what it otherwise would have been before the budget cuts.
Yes, but it also says that it's 1% more than the previous year.
If there had been no budget reductions, the Cosca budget would have been, I believe, 8% higher. I don't have the figures in front of me. It would have been much higher than 1%, and so the effect is that the budget cuts have reduced it to only a 1% increase overall.
Okay, that's fair enough. The other question is regarding the capital improvement projects. I noticed you went through the areas where you have a problem with off-roading in the North Ranch area. Obviously, there are other areas in town where off-roading is also a problem. Specifically, the Los Robles Trail is encountering more and more off-roading at night and on weekends. And I don't know whether they gain access through the unincorporated area or through Triunfo Community Park. But there certainly is off-roading going on. I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but it is going on. And perhaps you could look into that as well and whether barriers are needed for that portion too. The other question I have is when you do install barriers or create new trails that are close to homes, do you notify homeowners that new trails are being built or that bulldozers are digging new areas, basically paving a new path? Is what I'm wondering. Perhaps you can answer that question outside of this particular budget issue, but I thought it was related to some of the improvements that we were talking about. Then also there was the Westlake area that you mentioned with off-roading problems. That trail, is that being shared with the city of with the city of Westlake Village, or is it still within the jurisdiction of the city of Thousand Oaks and Cosca?
The area at the edge of the City of Westlake Village's park that I mentioned, we would be placing the barrier on our property boundary, which is several hundred yards away from the City of Westlake Village Park. To my knowledge, we have not contacted the City of Westlake Village about installing a gate on their property, but it is our general policy to have some sort of gate at most trails on our property, and so this would be a standard procedure in any case, no matter who our abutting landowners may be. But do you notify them just as a courtesy?
I would just actually jump in here. 5 or more years ago, we actually did contact the City of Westlake Village to try to work with them to get barriers installed at the roads and at the primary access points, and we didn't make any progress in terms of coming with an agreement or anything. Off-road vehicles don't seem to be as much of a concern for City of Westlake and their open space as they are for us. So we have actually talked to them and tried to work something out, but it never came to fruition. So this is sort of what we're doing instead.
And since this was 5 years ago, I'm assuming that their city coffers have actually been stuffed a little bit more, so to speak, with the addition of the hotel and other businesses, the Four Seasons and all that. Maybe they have a different perspective now. Maybe they're more willing now to cooperate with their neighbor, and perhaps this may be a good time to contact them again and see if they're willing to be cooperative at all. That's just a suggestion that I have. And other than that, I don't have any other additional questions, and if there are no questions, I could move approval of this.
I'll second it.
All right. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections or abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is 6C, consideration of resolution in support of efforts to create a regional trail between Alamos Canyon and Malibu Creek State Park. Shelley?
And I would again direct your attention to the monitor, and there should be a PowerPoint coming up there in a minute. Since January 2007, the Nature Conservancy has led an effort to create a 22-mile regional trail from Alamos Canyon to Malibu Creek State Park. Their goal is to protect wildlife habitat linkages between the smaller open space areas in Simi Hills and the Santa Susana Mountains to the larger preserved areas in the Santa Monica Mountains and the Los Padres National Forest. As they were planning these linkage preservations, they realized that they had a chance also to preserve and enhance public recreational opportunities through a regional trail. The specific trail alignment was chosen in part based on related projects that were in progress at both ends of the proposed trail route. The first at the southern end was that local equestrians had been working with California State Parks to develop an equestrian campground at Malibu Creek State Park. And at the northern end, the Nature Conservancy has been negotiating to protect 700 acres of land in Alamos Canyon. You can see here, this is the alignment. You can probably see it better in your packets. It's a little faint on the screen, unfortunately, but I'll point with the mouse arrow here. At the top of the page is the Alamos Canyon area north of the 118 freeway in Simi Valley, and then the trail proceeds south through Simi Valley, southwest on Olson Road, and then into the Sunset Hills open space, and then through the Woodridge and Lang Ranch open space, and then down through Palo Quemado Canyon, this is off of our open space now, and into Chesbrough Canyon, south across the 101 freeway in the Agora Hills area, and then down into Malibu Creek State Park to the end point, where it of course can connect with other trails in that park. And as far as the Cosca trails are related, approximately 6.5 miles of the proposed trail route are located on Cosca open space. 6 miles of the trail are existing, while 1/2 mile is proposed on the Cosca Trail Master Plan, but is not yet built. Support for this resolution does not obligate Cosca to construct the remaining 1/2 mile of trail or commit money or staff time to planning and implementation of the trail. This shows specifically how the trails on Cosca property are integrated into the overall regional trail, and it's a little hard to see, but up here, sort of at the top of the map, this is the portion of the trail in the Sunset Hills open space that is shown on the Trail Master Plan as a proposed trail and is not yet built. So that's about 1/2 mile, and then the red line is the trail that is built and is being used right now on Cosca property that goes through, again, the Sunset Hills, Woodridge, and Lang Ranch open space areas. A number of agencies have partnered with the Nature Conservancy through this project, including the National Park Services Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program has provided and continues to provide technical assistance throughout this project. Other active partners in the regional trail planning effort include Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, National Park Service, and Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District. And of course, there are other smaller agencies and groups that are also participating. This idea of the regional trail does fit well with Cosca policies and the Trail Master Plan. Policy OS6 in the open space element of the city's general plan says that the city should participate in cooperative regional trail planning with public and private organizations to identify and develop regional trail connections. And Cosca's Trail Master Plan identifies a planned regional trail connection to the Simi Valley Trail System in the northeast corner of the city. So staff recommends that the Cosca Board adopt Resolution 2008-1 supporting efforts to create a regional trail between Alamos Canyon and Malibu Creek State Park that supports the creation and establishment of this regional trail and authorizes existing Cosca trails as shown on the Trail Master Plan to be used as part of this regional trail. And staff is available for questions.
Okay, very good. Questions? Ms. Director Berger?
Kind of a broader question, because when you mentioned this, I asked Director Jacobson, because he had been on a county trails commission. In other words, somebody representing us, somebody representing other areas of the county. And he said that hasn't met for years. Has there been any work on getting a county trail committee so that we can coordinate the whole county?
I have not heard of an organized effort to do that. There was, an effort to have the open space district that was countywide, and that didn't pass. And I haven't heard about actually a countywide trail group.
It's been about 15, 16, 17, 18. It's been almost 18 years, I think. But there was a countywide planning committee, and there were areas identified, but a lot of things that didn't get implemented. But that plan is still on the books, as far as I know. Okay.
That's really not on this topic, but it is kind of, because this is multi-agency.
It's a regional trail, yeah. And this, if I may, this concept actually is, has a very nice organizing principle of, having a nice north-south trail that does truly connect the wildlife habitat areas that Nature Conservancy and the other agencies have identified and been trying to link. And as you can see on the map, most of the conceptual trail alignment would go through existing public open space. But there are some areas, private parcels now, that I believe Nature Conservancy and some of the other organizations have made, would be interested in acquiring under any circumstances, whether or not there was a trail, and that approaches have been made to the landowners in those areas. Any other questions?
I would move staff recommendation.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition or abstention? Thank you. That passes. Very good. Can we have a status report on the Conejo Canyons Management Plan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff recently requested and were successfully granted one more year of technical assistance from the National Park Service's Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And this assistance was granted through October 2009. And you might remember that in my last staff report, I just mentioned this same program, and they're working with the Nature Conservancy, of course, to get this regional trail that I just mentioned going. So this is a really great program and is very active, actually, locally. So lucky for us. We've planned a public workshop for Wednesday, October 8th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. in the Oak and Park rooms on the 3rd floor of the Civic Arts Plaza. Those rooms will be opened up, so they'll actually just be one room. But just to clarify, the purpose of the workshop is to give the public an overview of the management plan area and to work with residents to determine their goals and vision for the area in terms of trails, visitor improvements, and management issues. This public input will be used to guide the drafting of the management plan. Staff has met with a number of key stakeholders, including the Conejo Open Space Trails Advisory Committee, to discuss their initial thoughts and concerns regarding general management of and possible trails within the plan area. We're planning wide notification for the public workshop, including posting on the Cosca City and CRPD websites. And the draft trail plan for the area will be posted on the Cosca website 2 weeks prior to the workshop, so it'll be available for public review at that time. In terms of future plans in this management plan process, we plan to hold a second public workshop in approximately January, sometime in the beginning of the year, for the public to review and give us input on the draft management plan document that will, at that point, have been written and will be ready for review. I'm available for questions.
Okay, questions on that? Why don't you go on to the Potrero Ridge Open Space Trailhead?
Okay. This is basically an announcement, and also we have a picture of it available on your screen in a minute, I think. And this is the trailhead that Ginny Bowers actually mentioned in her presentation at the beginning of the meeting, and endorsed, in fact. She said it was a beautiful trailhead, so that's great to hear from a trail user. Basically, it's located approximately 0.2 of a mile north of Lynn Road on the west side of Reno Road. So Lynn Road is actually off of this map, but this is Reno Road, and Lynn Road would just be down here a little bit, sort of parallel to this road. It opened in June of 2008 and provides convenient access to the trails in the Potrero Ridge and Dos Vientos open space areas. It was designed to accommodate parking for passenger vehicles and trucks with horse trailers. It has a kiosk that offers trail and open space information, and an open space appreciation hike was added to their regular schedule and held in mid-July to highlight the new trailhead. So that was nice to get it used right away after it opened up. And I'm available for questions.
Questions or comments from the board? Director Bill Pena.
Where in relationship to the map that I just saw, that you just showed, is this 800-acre parcel that is the subject of a timely transfer between Dos Vientos builders? I don't know whether it is Miller Brothers or operating engineers.
Operating engineers.
Okay.
This is south and east of that large piece of property, so it doesn't connect uninterrupted to the trail on that parcel, on that big parcel. You would actually have to cross Borchard Road to get there. So it's maybe 5 miles, I don't know, 3 miles away or so. It's pretty far. This actually connects to the southeast edge of Dos Vientos.
Is this one supposed to connect in the future with the other 800-acre parcel, or not at all?
I mean, in terms of a trail plan, yes, it will connect, but you'll have to cross a major road to get there. So there isn't contiguous open space, without a road going through it to get to the 800-acre piece of property.
And do we have a timetable on when that will happen, when the transfer will happen to open space?
We would like it to happen as soon as possible. It should actually be going to the city council to be accepted in the next few months. We were sort of waiting on the processing of a pump station that was going in, and it sort of got complicated, but basically that big, huge 800-acre parcel was split by Borchard Road, but it was never split really in a legal description. It was done legally, of course, but it wasn't written up in a legal description. So basically, to transfer the whole thing, we have to remove the portion that the pump station is on, and that has to all go back to City Council to do that. So
we anticipate a date before the end of the year, perhaps, because once it goes before the council, it will go before this board as well, I would imagine.
Right. We do actually anticipate that, and we can talk to the other departments that are involved in the transfer and encourage them to work on that.
Good enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And let's go on to 7C, and that's Ms. Ford on federal income tax deduction enhanced benefits.
Thanks, Chair Skay. I just wanted to inform the board about some new tax rules that I'm particularly excited about. Congress passed enhancements to the standard charitable donation tax deduction rules as part of the Farm Bill in June of 2008. These tax deduction enhancements allow the donors of conservation easements to deduct up to 50% of their gross income in any year, and this is up from 30%, which is the standard deduction allowable under standard charitable donation tax deduction rules. If the easement donors are qualified farmers or ranchers, and that means that more than 80% of their income came from farming, ranching, or forestry, they can deduct up to 100% of their adjusted gross income. And in fact, they can continue to carry over those deductions for up to 16 years, and this is an increase from the standard charitable deduction rules of 6 years of carryover. So the effect of these enhancements are that moderate income property owners can really take advantage of these tax deductions. So for every year for up to 16 years in a row, they can deduct up to 50% of their income until they reach the value of their donation. The new legislation extends these enhanced tax deduction opportunities through December 31st, 2009. So unless the deductions are renewed, they will revert back to standard charitable donation deduction allowances in 2010. And I do want to point out that the enhanced tax deductions unfortunately do not apply to donations of land in fee simple. They only apply to donations of conservation easements. Although in special situations they can apply to donations of land in fee simple if the property owner reserves either a life estate on the property or if the owner reserves mineral interests on the property. It's complicated and had to do with the government wanting to allow as much property to remain in private ownership as possible. So this was an incentive for donations of easements, which would allow the protection of property while keeping it in private ownership. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions? Director Berger.
Are we doing any mailings to any of the potential donors?
We have not done any. Unfortunately, in Thousand Oaks is probably not the best target city for these types of donations. We could, and in fact, there are some really nice pre-printed publications that are available for conservation organizations to mail out to property owners, or we could design our own. Where I think these tax incentives would have the most effect maybe in some of the larger parcels directly abutting the city's boundaries in the unincorporated county area where there are large parcels, and I do hope that some of those may happen to serve as a buffer for the city's open space system. But within the city of Thousand Oaks, I'm not sure of how many opportunities there would be for people to donate conservation easements.
I'm thinking maybe the Rockwell property. That's one property that comes to mind. That's on unincorporated county,
right?
But it butts all city property. So that was just one that came to my mind.
And in fact, Director Bill Jalapeno made a good remark. CPAs should be well informed about this, but if they're not, probably that would be the best target to target. Absolutely. CPAs, tax preparing firms,
financial
and
planners, estate planners,
tax lawyers, and estate planners.
Right.
Right.
So I do have full color copies of these brochures. If anyone's interested in distributing copies to friends, associates, you can contact me and I can make some available.
And then typically it would be up to the landowner to obtain an appraisal upon which the basis would be determined.
Yes.
Unless government agencies had a lot of money to actually do the appraisals for a donor, potential donor. Okay, thank you. That's very interesting. And if there are any munificent people out there with eleemosynary impulses, in other words, if you'd like to give an easement, contact our staff. All right. Thank you. All righty. I think that takes us to board member comments and reports. Anyone have a Director Bill Jalapeno?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on an earlier question about when and if homeowners are being informed about new trails being built, for example, and is there a limit as to, does it depend on how close the trail is to a home? How does that work?
I believe that if there is a trail construction project that is going to involve significant disruption, whether it be any heavy machinery or a lot of vehicles being in the area, then I think we would certainly notify nearby neighbors. However, a lot of our most recent trail projects, for example, the one in Trail Workday last year, was deep into the open space where the trail workers walked in. We used no machinery, and so in fact it was a very low impact trail construction, which in most cases, many cases, that is the type of trail construction that we do. Sometimes we have a trail cat that comes in, which is a very small piece of machinery that can fit in a narrow trail. I don't know if Jim can comment on the standard procedures.
I think that's pretty accurate, and we do leave a lot of that to the folks in the field to kind of do a little bit of the reconnaissance and kind of make the judgment call if we need to, spend time knocking on doors or letting some folks know we'll be in the area. And they're pretty good about it. We haven't had, I'm not aware of any complaints we've ever had about somebody sort of suggesting we didn't let them know we were going to be improving a trail near their home. So I think our guys in the field are pretty aware. Let people know we're there.
No, I simply ask out of curiosity. I was just wondering whether there has ever been a case where a trail was built too closely to a house or so. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I think the other point too is that our trails are all in the trail master plan or have been vetted in one form or another, and they've kind of the body of information that a homeowner would typically, it would be their responsibility to look through the material they get from the realtor or from the city and make their own judgment if they want to live next to a trail. But I don't think there's any, unless it's some bootleg trail that's being built by, non-sanctioned trail, by renegade trail builders. Yeah, I think we're pretty safe. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments or announcements? We'll go to adjournment, and with the board's permission, I would like to adjourn this meeting of the Canadian Open Space Conservation Agency in memory of Al Bendel, who was a very long time and devoted and really hardworking volunteer. He participated in just about everything the agency and COSTAC has done. Open space volunteerism, I think, was his hallmark. He was a hike leader for Trails Education Days, crew leader for Trail Work Days, a group coordinator for adoption of the Triumpho Trail through the Adopt a Trail program, and in addition to being involved in other regional trail organizations. And he was so active in really countless trail maintenance and construction projects. And we will miss him, and we really appreciate all of his contributions. And so with that, I'd like to adjourn the meeting in his memory. We have another suggestion that we also acknowledge that September 11th, the tragedy of September 11th, the anniversary 7 years ago is tomorrow. So, okay. Any other announcements or? Okay. Then meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.